So Conor McGregor keeping himself in the headlines, sharing another video of him honing his boxing skills. McGregor would be gearing up for a potential super fight, essentially making his professional debut against Floyd Mayweather Jr., who, by the way, has won all 49 of his boxing matches during his professional career. Carrie?
All right, so our Max Kellerman, host of First Take as well as boxing expert. I'll say that. Can I just call you that, or should I give you an official title outside of boxing expert?
You can call me whatever you want.
All right, so let's talk about it. It's money always the issue, especially between these two. In your expert opinion, and from what you're hearing, are we really close to a deal, to watching Conor McGregor and Floyd Mayweather fight?
Yes, it seems like this will happen, mainly because there's so much money to be made, and it poses zero risk to Floyd and really very little risk to Conor McGregor. So what? McGregor is going to get beaten easily by another athlete, the best athlete in the sport in which he'll be competing, in a sport in which Conor McGregor has never competed professionally. How does that really hurt Conor McGregor? And because he poses no risk to Floyd and there are potentially hundreds of millions to be made, it seems like it's going to happen.
Okay, so it seems like it's going to happen. Floyd Mayweather said we offered him $15 million on your show. Conor McGregor says that's a pay cut. I know that we don't know the pay-per-view, takeaway that he got when he was in New York. I know it was a $3 million base salary for Conor McGregor. But how much money do you think he made on his last fight against Nate Diaz? If you had to
It's
speculate.
impossible. Yeah, it's impossible to tell. I suspect $15 million is more than he made for any one given fight. And one of the reasons that the UFC is so successful, they're really a promoter. That's what the UFC is, a promoter. But unlike in boxing, where no one promoter monopolizes the talent, the majority of the talent worldwide, or even the plurality, meaning more talent than anyone else, and it's obvious, that doesn't exist in boxing. It does in MMA. That's the UFC. And so the UFC has become synonymous with MMA the way, you know, Band-Aid means a bandage. It's one of those kind of name brands. And one of the reasons it's been able to do that is the UFC has controlled labor costs in a way that no promoter in boxing has been able to quite. And so McGregor doesn't get, you know, Floyd has made minimum guarantee $32 million. I don't know, right, for 5 or 6 years now, and has exceeded $100 million, maybe $200 million for the Pacquiao fight. That's a ballpark that Conor McGregor hasn't played in.
Okay, so here's the thought: if they ever fight, because you said the likelihood is that they could, and we're hearing that from different sources now, whoever takes the lesser purse doesn't take home as much money. Well, I don't see their egos allowing that to happen. I would think they want an equal pot. No?
No, Conor McGregor knows, because as I mentioned, labor costs are controlled in the sport in which he competes. The sky's the limit in boxing. You can get as great a deal as you can work out. Floyd can take all that money. So the reason it'll be in a boxing ring instead of an octagon is precisely because Floyd is the guy driving the finances of it, because he is not signed to a promoter that can keep that cost in line. No, there's no way Conor McGregor is going to get paid what Floyd would get paid for this fight.
Okay, but so I'm only saying this based on his recent quotes to GQ, and I want you to respond to this. They asked him how much he thought he was worth, what he wanted to make. He said $4.2 billion. I want to negotiate what I'm worth. I want to pay my analytics forward, man to man, and be like, this is what I'm owed now. Pay me, and then we can talk. Is he just blowing smoke, or is he promoting a fight? $4.2 billion? What a random number.
No, what he's saying is, I'm worth what the UFC is worth. That's what Conor is saying.
Oh, okay,
and of
good.
course,
Break
the
it down.
UFC, right? The UFC, that's what it just got sold for, 4 points something. The UFC, unlike a lot of sports where at this point in their maturation, you look at the owners, you look at the league, and you say you're capping what the athletes can make. And there was already a market for basketball or football. There have been for decades. The UFC actually created largely the market for MMA, and so has a greater justification, at least in this part of their history, to keep those labor costs in line. McGregor's saying, look, I'm the whole shooting match. I'm worth what the promotional company's worth, which is untrue. I mean, Ronda Rousey has come and gone. John Jones once upon a time. Before that, there was Matt Hughes, and there were a million other guys, George St. Pierre, who propped up, the Tito Ortiz, who propped up the UFC as their biggest star, who were very valuable to the brand, but no one was as big or bigger than the brand, and that includes Conor McGregor. The UFC is benefiting from his presence, but will be fine after it.
I was just going to say that. So you don't think he's bigger than the brand, although he thinks he's bigger than the brand.
And that's part of what makes him special. Not only can he deliver in the ring, but he can excite people with, you know, the talk he talks. He can walk the walk, but, you know, and that's the hard part. But talking the talk ain't easy when you do it on the level Conor McGregor does. And that's one of the reasons Floyd's interested in fighting him. Floyd knows that Conor will carry his end of the promotion and talk it into a big event.
All right, so Dana White, does he give in to, in any form or fashion, not completely, but does he give in to Conor McGregor and allow this fight to happen?
Well, I don't know if it's a matter of giving in so much as it's a matter of cutting the right deal. If the UFC, who is the promoter, who has this valuable commodity in Conor McGregor, gets cut in for a deal that makes sense to them, even if it's just about amplifying their brand, then the fight will happen. And if negotiations break down because one side wants to hog too much of it, then it won't happen. But my sense is generally when the money gets this big, and when there's very little risk on both sides, one in terms of Floyd losing, two in terms of the UFC brand getting hurt because it's taking place in a boxing ring, then the fight will get made because if it makes dollars, it makes sense.
If it makes dollars, it makes sense. Okay, so I need you to tell me, it took years and years for Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather. How long do we wait for this? I'm excited already.
I think months and months. I don't think this one takes years and years. Yeah, I don't see the impediment to it beyond the UFC getting cut into a deal that they feel is in their best interest. And I'm sure with the amount of money that's available. Again, look, Conor McGregor could be the greatest natural boxer who ever lived. I want people to understand this. He could be let's say he was the most talented natural boxer of all time in the history of planet Earth. He would still have a 0% chance to beat Floyd Mayweather in this fight in a boxing ring because he's a completely inexperienced professional. He's never fought as a professional boxer. And because he's a great MMA fighter, that requires multi-disciplines, right? And cross-disciplinary training. There are only so many hours in a day to devote to prize fighting, to boxing, that Floyd has devoted since before he could walk. Right? Since he could crawl, Floyd's been doing that. So we don't know if Conor McGregor could beat a top 20 fighter in his weight class over a 6-round fight, let alone whether he could compete with the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world. And I can tell you he cannot. It doesn't matter how naturally talented he is.
All right, so listen, it sounds like he's trolling us.
By the way, just as Floyd, not trolling, they want the fight to happen. They're going to promote it into an event. But
if you're saying he has 0%,
he's talking the fight up.
0% chance. Right. You had 0% chance, right? So then he gets in the ring. How long does he last? 1 round, 2 round? He dances? What does he do?
Floyd will put on a show for a little while to give the people their money's worth and then end it. Much as would be the case if it took place in an octagon and it was an MMA fight, Floyd would have a 0% chance to beat Conor McGregor. LeBron James has a 0% chance to be a better quarterback than Aaron Rodgers. And Aaron Rodgers could never beat LeBron James on a basketball court. Just can't be, even though they're both very talented. And we have not yet learned how to split the difference and put it in a hexagon and somehow make it even. we haven't figured out how to do that. So in a boxing ring, Conor, no matter how talented he is, poses no threat. And so Floyd, it makes all the sense in the world for Floyd to make $100 million plus to fight a guy who has no chance to beat him.
All right, so it's about the money. And meanwhile, will you call the fight? Have you talked to the people? If I am asked, we'd see. But, I have no way to answer that question. All right. Max, thank you for the education and having a little fun with me today. I appreciate it. Joining us here on SportsCenter, Coast to Coast.
Always
Tony,
great to see
you.
Whether in a boxing match, Roach said the following to MMAfighting.com. One punch can change everything. It's the sport we're in. I'm not going to count out completely. I think Mayweather is the favorite, yes, but I wouldn't count anyone out because he throws hard, and he's not afraid to throw. Stephen A. Smith. Does Freddie have a point?
Well, I think he does. Do I think that Floyd Money Mayweather will destroy Conor McGregor? Yes, I do. but it's because I don't believe he'll get hit. That's the reason why. I didn't say that Conor McGregor has no chance, because even if he hit Floyd, it would have no effect. When Conor McGregor hits you, you fall. I was at his fight when he showed up at Madison Square Garden. His entry into the octagon was one of the most spectacular moments I've seen in all of my years covering sports. The Madison Square Garden was absolutely rocking, Max. I am not foolhardy enough to sit up there and say I give him a snowball's chance in hell of beating Money Mayweather, because Money Mayweather is special. He's a boxer extraordinaire, the greatest defensive fighter I've ever seen, and I can't see Conor McGregor hitting him. But what I've always also said was this: Conor McGregor has to know he can't outbox this guy. The reason he's confident has to be for one thing and one thing only. If I catch this guy, he will fall. And when it comes to a pugilistic sport, I always give a puncher's chance. That's all, but at least that. And Conor McGregor has proven to me he can punch.
Conor McGregor can punch. He's shown that, as you mentioned, in the octagon. He's knocked guys out going backwards, like a Sugar Ray Robinson feat. But when you hear someone has a good chin in boxing, yeah, Ali did it too to Cleveland Williams. Absolutely right.
Yes, he did.
When you hear someone has a good chin in boxing, you know what that means, Stephen A? It means they're not getting hit on the chin. They might take a shot up here, over here, but not on the button where they get knocked out. Conor McGregor has a 0% chance to hit Floyd Mayweather on the chin. Like, the idea that he has a puncher's chance indicates that he can land that punch somewhere. Yes, he has, as our colleague Teddy Atlas on this network, on ESPN, mentions, yeah, he has a punch, he has a bomb, but without a delivery system, without a missile to get it there, it just goes off, leaves a hole in the ground. When it rains, you go swimming. I mean, this is a Teddy Atlas line. So it seems to me that Conor McGregor will go swimming. I mean, there's no way for him to land that power on Floyd Mayweather. I hope people understand this. There's no way to do it. Some kid from Little League, I don't care how talented, ain't picking up the bat and hitting Clayton Kershaw's curveball. Just not going to happen. There are levels to this. And Floyd Mayweather in a boxing ring is so many levels above Conor McGregor. And you know who knows that, who knows it really well? Freddie Roach. So, and if you really look at Freddie Roach's quote, he tells you why he's saying it. Floyd comes to the gym and says, I'm going to make money with this guy. If he shows up at your gym, let him in. And Freddie's going, got it. I mean, Freddie knows how this game is played. And so theoretically, anyone has a puncher's chance, I suppose, a 1 in a billion shot. But that's what it's like for Conor McGregor. He ain't got no shot to beat Floyd or land anything against Floyd.
Max, I have a question. First of all, I'm asking the question because this is boxing. I'm going to defer to the man, okay? I know my boxer, but damn it, not like you. I'm going to defer to you with this.
You do know your boxer.
But I ask you this question because I think it's one thing you haven't considered. Because Conor McGregor is not a boxer, because he's a UFC fighter, and because Floyd, 40 years of age coming up, 2 years removed from the fight game, is it possible that somebody even as great as Floyd can get caught simply because you walked into the ring and you know in your heart of hearts exactly what Max just said? This dude ain't on my level. He has no chance. He's not a fighter. He's not a boxer. This dude he don't even know what he's getting himself into. Is it possible that you can end up getting caught because you completely underestimated somebody because there's so many levels above you in the boxing game? Is that possible?
No, not Floyd. The reason Floyd has been so extraordinary is not just the peaks that he's hit, which are almost as high as anyone ever. I mean, we've seen other pure boxers, Willie Pett, Pernell Whitaker, overall fighters, Sugar Ray Robinson, and others at or above Floyd's level in the ring, but he's right there. But the reason he's 49-0 and Pernell Whitaker, for example, isn't, is because not only is he taking care of himself throughout the years, but Floyd takes every single threat and challenge seriously. You never see him show up not prepared. He is prepared for everyone, even as the press derides his opponent. This is an easy fight for you. Even as Floyd says, easy work, which he says about everybody, he never takes his opponent for granted. So that's out. I would say that sometimes boxers who are not classical boxers, the punch doesn't come straight, it comes from a weird angle, precisely because they're awkward, have a better shot to land a good shot against a really good defensive fighter, which is why Marcos Maidana had success against Floyd in their first fight, right? Like, he got some stuff done in the first half of the fight, especially.
Hit him in the third round.
The punch isn't coming from where it's supposed to be. Right. That punch isn't coming from where it's supposed to be coming, so Floyd's defense isn't prepared for it. But in this case, that doesn't apply to McGregor. Maidana has made his living in a boxing ring for decades, learning how to get those awkward punches home. And if you watch McGregor's punches, actually, they're pretty straight. McGregor's problem is not that his punches aren't good. It's, as most MMA fighters, his head stays in the middle. He's too easy to hit. So the offense looks good, but the defense is there to be hit.
I agree with that because that's how Diaz caught him the first go-round. You're right about that. But here's my last question. Knowing boxing the way that you do, seeing the fight game the way that you see it, we see guys that cheat all the time, Max. They're holding, they get tangled up, and they hit you with an elbow shot instead of the fist. If anybody's capable of cheating on that level in a boxing ring, it would be a UFC fighter like McGregor. And what about what then? What about, Victor Ortiz headbutted Floyd? Who was it? Zab Judah hit him low. And stuff like that happens in a boxing ring. This is right up McGregor's alley. What about that?
Well, this actually leads to what we're about to talk about, Stephen A. This is why Floyd is going to want to come on this show and talk about it. This is why Floyd wants to fight McGregor. This is why Freddie Roach is involved now in talking about it. Because Floyd and Conor McGregor and Freddie Roach can talk a good game, and Stephen A. Smith, so can you. You bring up a really good point, which is part of the intrigue in an event like this, in a physical confrontation, is even though we all know in a boxing match, McGregor's got no shot. What if a fight breaks out? In other words, he's not going to win a boxing match, but what if some ugly stuff starts to happen?
That's where I'm going.
What then? That becomes spectacle? And you're right. McGregor does know those. So does Floyd. But McGregor does know those grappling techniques and would know how to get away with something here or there. And then maybe a melee breaks out in the middle of the ring.
Yeah. Go ahead, Molly.
Stephen A., obviously everyone has an agenda, and I know Max just touched on it a little bit there, but what do you think Freddie Roach's agenda is with this?
Well, Freddie Roach, first of all, Freddie Roach hates the fact that he lost a bet to me where he had to buy me a pair of $2,000 Tom Ford shoes. I still wear them. They're lovely shoes. Thank you, Freddie Roach. The shoes are beautiful. The shoes are beautiful. It's good he bought
them for you because you couldn't afford to buy them on your own, so it's good.
Not at all. Never that. Of course not. Of course not. But I will give him credit because he honored his word and lived up to his bet because he lost to me. Because not only did he say Pacquiao would win, but he predicted that Pacquiao would knock Mayweather out in the 8th round. So needless to say, he lost that bet. That's point number one. Point number two, I genuinely believe that Freddie Roach respects the hell out of Mayweather, but to some degree, he doesn't like him. But I'm not talking about it as a personal. I'm not going to that route. He loves the fact that fighters come into the ring and fight. Even though he marvels at the intelligence, Max, of a Floyd, it also annoys him because Floyd doesn't necessarily engage in a level of fisticuffs trainers like Freddie Roach would like to see you exercise when you're not his fighter, by the way. And I think because of that, he looks at it and he says, I'm hoping that McGregor will force Floyd to engage in fisticuffs rather than moving, weaving, or in Freddie Roach's vernacular, running and making it a lopsided mismatch. Roach does not want that. He wants to engage the public, and he wants everybody to step up and try to force Floyd to be something other than what we've seen in the ring because he's too dominant for Freddie Roach's liking. That's my take on it, Max. What about you?
Well, Stephen A., you're showing why you're an astute observer of the fight game. That's absolutely right. Freddie, I would liken having Freddie Roach as your coach, as your trainer, to hiring an offensive coordinator to be your head coach in the NFL. He likes offense. It's not that he doesn't teach responsible defense. I mean, Pacquiao's tricky to hit. Floyd will tell you that. But it's that he likes offense. He prefers it. And there are trainers throughout history who are like this. Customato had that bobbing, that side-to-side style that Tyson had. He had that because he wanted you more square to your opponent, to bring your power hand forward because he thought, hey, this is professional prize fighting. It's entertainment. Bring the offense. And Freddie Roach is the same way philosophically. But I don't think that's what's going on here. And I don't think Freddie Roach really believes that Conor McGregor has a puncher's chance even, or an ice ball's chance in hell, an ice cube's chance in hell, to land a punch against Floyd Mayweather, or a chance to win even. When Floyd showed up to Wild Card to tell Freddie Roach, let McGregor in the gym, I'm going to make money with this guy, why is he talking to Freddie Roach, really? Floyd is a promoter. As a fighter, he has an intuitive sense and also a strategy in terms of how to promote. That's why he's as wealthy as he is, not just because he's a genius in the boxing ring. So does McGregor. McGregor knows how to promote. Floyd doesn't have to do all the heavy lifting. This is a point you've made, Stephen A. And so does Freddie Roach know how to promote an event. I know when I do Face Off, you know, on HBO, when we have the fighters there, sometimes if the fighters are, their personalities aren't explosive, or maybe they have a difficulty in English, and we want to include the trainers as a result in the promotional event, if it's Freddie Roach, we're all happy. Oh, this is going to be a good show. Freddie knows how to talk that talk and promote a show, and I think Freddie, who just has an understanding of how to do it, is already doing it, whether or not he winds up somehow training Conor McGregor.
I have nothing to add. I appreciate the education, Max. I have nothing to add.